Every day, thousands of people wake up and hand over control of their life to fear, to opinions, to circumstances. But imagine this: what if no ing could shake you? If no insult, no failure, no storm, no loss could break your spirit? Today, I want to share with you the principles that make a person untouchable, not by changing the world, by mastering themselves. Control vs. no control is the foundation of unshakable strength. Most of the stress, anger, and frustration in life comes from trying to change things that are beyond our reach. The weather, the economy, the actions of others, even the twists of fate, none of these obey our command. Yet people waste endless energy on them, arguing, blaming, and wishing they were different. The truth is, the more you try to fight what you cannot control, the weaker you become. The wiser path is to direct all your power toward the one thing you always own: your response. Imagine you are sailing across the ocean. The waves may rise, storms may appear, winds may shift. You cannot shout at the sea and expect it to obey. But you can adjust the sails, strengthen the ship, and guide your direction. This is the Stoic way. Focus on your ship, not the storm. When a business deal fails, you cannot force the client back. You can refine your strategy. When someone disrespects you, you cannot control their tongue, but you can control your dignity. When the economy dips, you cannot control the global market, but you can sharpen your skills, cut waste, and prepare yourself to rise when the tide turns again. Every successful leader, every resilient fighter, every visionary who lasts understands this. Control is not about dominating the world, it is about mastering yourself. The person who pours energy only into what they can influence is unshakable. The person who tries to change the unchangeable is always tired, always defeated. Life is short. Energy is limited. Do not waste it on what belongs to fortune. Use it only on what belongs to you. That is where true power lies. Emotions are choices. Most people live as if they are prisoners of whatever feeling happens to arise. Someone insults them and they feel anger. A plan collapses and they feel despair. A friend forgets them and they feel unworthy. But what Stoic wisdom teaches is that while external events may strike us, the meaning we attach to those events, and therefore the emotions we generate, are within our control. The world may hand you pain, but suffering is optional, because suffering is the story you tell yourself about the pain. Think of two people facing the same challenge. One loses a job and says, "This is the end of me." Another loses the same job and says, "This is the beginning of a new chapter." Both lost their income. One lost his spirit while the other gained determination. The event is the same, but the interpretation changes everything. This is the secret. Emotions are not automatic. They are decisions dressed as reactions. In life, you cannot stop people from being rude, unfair, or careless. You cannot stop obstacles from appearing. You can decide not to hand over your peace to every insult or inconvenience. To get angry is to give someone else control over your mind. To feel crushed by failure is to let circumstances rule your inner state. The stronger path is to pause, step back, and ask, "Does this mean to me?" That pause creates freedom. When you train yourself to choose emotions instead of absorbing them blindly, you gain true independence. You can stand calm in chaos, focused under pressure, and hopeful in uncertainty. The storm outside will not decide the weather inside. That power belongs only to you. Discipline over desire is one of the greatest principles of strength, because without discipline, even the most talented person will be a slave to impulses. Desires scream for attention every day: comfort, distraction, pleasure, laziness, recognition. They pull you in 100 directions, promising satisfaction but leaving you weaker each time you surrender without control. Discipline, on the other hand, is the quiet force that builds freedom. It is the ability to say no when every part of you wants to say yes. It is the decision to stay focused on what matters, even when easier paths tempt you. Consider a person who wakes up early to work on their goals while others sleep. They don't always feel like it, but they do it anyway because discipline guides them, not desire. Person spends hours scrolling, chasing quick dopamine, avoiding the discomfort of real work. Their desires control them, and though they feel pleasure in the moment, they remain trapped in mediocrity. Discipline is the power that breaks that trap. The Stoics knew that true freedom comes not from doing whatever you want, but from mastering what you want. A person ruled by desires is like a ship with no captain, pulled by every current, pushed by every wave. A disciplined person is the captain of their ship, steering toward the destination regardless of the winds. In business, in health, in relationships, discipline is the deciding factor between those who dream and those who achieve. Desire says, take it easy, you deserve rest. Discipline says, one more step, your future deserves more. Desire says, eat, spend, escape. Discipline says, save, invest, endure. And in that choice lies destiny. When discipline rules, nothing outside can enslave you. You walk with focus, and you build a life that desire alone could never give. Impermanence is one of the most profound truths of life, and understanding it gives you the strength to face anything without fear or attachment. Everything you see around you, wealth, success, health, relationships, status, is temporary, remains the same forever. Seasons change, markets shift, people come and go, and even our own bodies transform with time. The mistake people make is believing that what they have today will last forever, so when change inevitably arrives, they are shattered. The Stoic approach is to live with the awareness that all things are passing. When you succeed, enjoy it, but do not cling to it as if it is permanent. When you fail, endure it. Do not think it will last forever either. Both triumph and defeat are like passing clouds. They come, they go. Anchoring your peace to things that are temporary means your peace will also vanish with them. Anchoring it to principles, wisdom, and values ensures you remain steady no matter what changes outside. Think of the person who builds their identity only on wealth. When fortune fades, their self-worth collapses. The person who builds on character remains unshaken, even if everything external is taken away. Accepting impermanence is not about being negative, it is about being realistic and free. It allows you to appreciate every moment, every success, every person, because you know it is precious precisely because it will not last. This awareness also prepares you for loss and hardship. If you expect change, you do not fear it. If you accept endings, you welcome beginnings. Life flows like a river, never standing still. Those who resist this truth suffer endlessly, while those who embrace it adapt, grow, and rise stronger with every shift. Impermanence becomes not a threat, a teacher of resilience and wisdom. Adversity builds strength because every challenge that comes your way is a hidden opportunity for growth. People wish for a life without problems, but such a life would only make them weaker, softer, and unprepared for reality. Muscles grow only when they are stretched and torn. Steel becomes strong only when it is forged in fire, and the human spirit becomes unshakable only when it faces trials. Every difficulty that seems to block your path is in fact shaping you for the next stage of your journey. When you encounter setbacks, you are given a chance to develop resilience. You face failure, you are being trained to handle success without arrogance. When you experience betrayal, you learn the value of trust and independence. Each obstacle is like a mentor, harsh in tone but generous in lesson. The Stoic view is simple: do not ask, why me? Instead, ask, is this teaching me? That shift in perspective transforms pain into preparation. Think about great leaders, entrepreneurs, and innovators. Of them reached their position without adversity. They faced rejection, loss, criticism, and uncertainty, but instead of breaking, they built strength from those moments. Looked like an end became a beginning. What seemed like punishment became training. When life puts a mountain before you, it is not to stop you, but to help you climb higher than you ever imagined. Without that mountain, you would remain on the ground, comfortable but limited. With it, you discover muscles of perseverance, creativity, and courage you never knew existed. Adversity is not the enemy, it is the architect of strength. Who welcome it with courage emerge, not just survivors but leaders, prepared to rise above whatever comes next. Detach from approval is a principle that frees you from one of the greatest prisons in life, the opinions of others. From childhood, people are conditioned to seek validation, first from parents, then from teachers, friends, colleagues, and society at large. The problem is that when your sense of worth depends on approval, you hand over control of your happiness to everyone else. You rise when they clap, and you collapse when they stay silent. That is not freedom, it is slavery in disguise. When you live for applause, every decision becomes distorted. You choose a career not because you love it, but because it looks impressive. You buy things not because you need them, but because they make others notice you. You hide your true thoughts out of fear of judgment. In the process, you lose yourself. But when you detach from approval, you make choices rooted in values, not vanity. You act with integrity rather than insecurity. You measure your life not by the cheers of the crowd, but by the strength of your character. Criticism is inevitable. Praise is temporary, are unreliable. The same people who cheer you today may condemn you tomorrow. If you tie your self-worth to their shifting opinions, you will forever be unstable. Detachment does not mean arrogance or ignoring feedback. It means listening with wisdom, but never letting external voices dictate your inner peace. History shows that every visionary, every pioneer, every person who left a mark on the world did so by refusing to be chained by approval. They followed conviction, not consensus. To detach from approval is to reclaim your independence. It is to stand firm in who you are, guided by conscience and principle, touched by the noise of praise or the sting of criticism. Practice gratitude is the discipline of recognizing the value of what you already have instead of constantly chasing what you lack. Most people live in a state of dissatisfaction, always comparing themselves to others, always focusing on what is missing. This mindset breeds anxiety, envy, and a sense of emptiness that no achievement can fill. Gratitude breaks that cycle. It shifts your focus from scarcity to abundance, from complaints to blessings. When you train yourself to see the gifts in front of you, you realize that life has already given you more than enough to build strength and peace. Gratitude is not about ignoring problems or pretending that everything is perfect. It is about choosing perspective. Two people can face the same situation. One complains about the rain. The other is grateful for the water that sustains life. Curses the challenge. The other thanks it for the lesson it carries. Gratitude does not change the facts, but it changes how you experience them. That shift creates resilience, because a grateful mind is harder to break. Think of the simple things often overlooked: the ability to breathe, the body that carries you, the people who support you, the opportunities that exist each day. When you appreciate them, you build a foundation of inner wealth. Even if you lose material possessions, you are not poor, because gratitude reminds you of what still remains. The Stoics practiced gratitude daily, not as a luxury, but as a necessity. They knew that without it, the heart becomes restless and fragile. With it, the mind becomes content and unshakable. Gratitude transforms ordinary days into blessings and setbacks into lessons. It is the lens that reveals life's hidden richness and makes you resilient enough to face whatever comes next. Simplicity wins because complexity is the silent thief of focus, clarity, and energy. In a world overflowing with choices, distractions, and noise, people often mistake business for progress. They chase too many goals, consume too much information, and clutter their lives with unnecessary possessions, commitments, and thoughts. The result is confusion, exhaustion, and wasted potential. Simplicity cuts through this chaos. It is the art of stripping away what does not matter so that what truly matters can shine. When you simplify your goals, you give yourself direction. Instead of chasing 10 different targets half-heartedly, you pour your strength into one or two with full force. This concentration multiplies your effectiveness. You simplify your habits, you save energy for decisions that count. A clear routine eliminates endless small choices, leaving your mind sharper for big challenges. You simplify your environment, you remove the noise that constantly pulls your attention away from growth. Simplicity is not about having less, It is about having more of what matters. It means choosing depth over breadth, quality over quantity, clarity over clutter. Think of a blade. It cuts because it is sharp, because it is wide. A life sharpened by simplicity gains the same cutting power. The Stoics practiced simplicity not only in possessions, but also in thoughts. They believed in focusing on virtue, on clarity, on essentials. Complexity creates stress, while simplicity creates peace. A person who lives simply is harder to distract, harder to manipulate, harder to break. They know what matters and refuse to waste time on what does not. In every area, work, relationships, personal growth, simplicity gives you speed, strength, and stability. When you remove the unnecessary, you gain the space to focus, to act, and to live with purpose and power. Prepare for hardship is a principle that strengthens the mind before the storm arrives. Life is unpredictable, and no one is spared from difficulties. Illness, financial struggles, betrayal, failure, and loss are all part of the human experience. Many people collapse when these moments appear because they lived under the illusion that life should always be smooth. The Stoic approach is different. Expect challenges, anticipate them, and train yourself to face them before they arrive. When hardship comes, you are not surprised, you are ready. Preparation does not mean pessimism. It means building resilience. A soldier does not hope for war, but he trains every day as if battle could start tomorrow. In the same way, preparing for hardship means strengthening your body, your mind, and your character so that no setback can break you. When you rehearse adversity in your mind, you reduce its power over you. When you save resources, build skills, and maintain discipline, you are equipped to endure loss and rise again. This mindset turns fear into courage. If you have already imagined rejection, insult, or failure, they cannot crush you when they arrive. If you remind yourself daily that wealth can disappear, health can decline, people can leave, you learn to value them while you have them, and to endure gracefully if they change. Preparation also brings calm. The unprepared panic in chaos, the prepared remain steady. They know storms are temporary, and they trust the strength they have built. By expecting challenges, you remove their power to shock you. Hardship is inevitable, but destruction is not. With preparation, obstacles become tests of strength, not threats to survival. You walk into life with confidence. In whatever comes, you are ready to stand firm and keep moving forward. Live by virtue, not emotion, is the principle that gives stability in a world full of uncertainty. Emotions rise and fall like waves. Anger, excitement, fear, sadness, and joy all come and go without warning. If you let emotions guide your actions, your life becomes unstable because decisions made in anger, greed, or fear often lead to regret. Virtue, on the other hand, is constant. It is the compass that points you toward wisdom, courage, justice, and integrity, regardless of how you feel in the moment. To live by virtue means to choose what is right, not what feels good. When you act from virtue, you become unshakable because your values do not change with circumstances. A person ruled by emotions may betray their word under pressure, lash out when insulted, give up when discouraged. But a person guided by virtue remains steady, honest when tempted to lie, courageous when fear rises, fair when anger burns, disciplined when desire calls. This steadiness builds trust, respect, and lasting success. Virtue is also a shield against manipulation. The world is full of forces that try to control people through fear, praise, temptation. If your choices are rooted in emotion, you can be easily swayed. But if they are rooted in principle, no one can control you. You act from conviction, not from impulse. Living by virtue does not mean rejecting emotions. It means not being ruled by them. Emotions can inform you but should never dictate your path. Virtue ensures that your actions serve a higher purpose beyond temporary feelings. In this way, you live with consistency and strength. Storms may come, temptations may appear. Your foundation remains solid. A life built on virtue stands unbroken, while a life built on emotion is blown away by every passing wind. My friends, life will test you. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will change. Success will come and go. But none of these have the power to define you, unless you allow them to. The real battle is not out there, it is inside you. These 10 principles are not just lessons, they are weapons. Control what you can, choose your emotions, master your discipline. Embrace impermanence, see adversity as strength, detach from approval, live in gratitude, simplify your life, prepare for hardship, and stand firm in virtue. Do this, you will be unshakable. The storms of life will come, but you will not bow, you will not break, you will rise. Because when nothing outside can affect you, everything inside becomes unstoppable.